Hello everyone, my name is Joe and my teammates for this debate are Jagpreet and Kushagra, and today we'll be debating on for the motion side with regards to the IT-enabled sharing economy. So the motion for this debate is that IT-enabled sharing economy, for example Uber, Airbnb, eBay, etc., based on consumer-to-consumer exchange of goods and services cannot replace the traditional business-to-consumer economy. Throughout our presentation, we'll prove this motion to be correct by showing the many ways in which the sharing economy comes up short against the traditional economy, and that this will continue to be the case in the future. So our agenda for the debate is as follows. We're going to cover the introduction of the sharing economy, how the sharing economy is regulated, including regulating with the workers, how far can sharing go, trust issues within the sharing economy, why the sharing economy is bad for the workforce and with regards to benefits and stability, and who really benefits from the sharing economy. So first off, what is the sharing economy? The sharing economy is a hybrid market model where goods and services are transferred from customer to customer, often via a web-based portal. Some prime examples include Uber and Lyft, which are two popular ride-sharing apps, Airbnb, a home-sharing app, TaskRabbit, which is a service-sharing portal, and the sharing economy is thought by most analysts to be the economy that was invented for the millennials by the millennials. Most analysts and economists agree that the primary economic value of the sharing economy is derived from the idea of increasing overall economic efficiency by getting more value of underutilized assets, such as cars, while the sharing economy and the notion of consumer-to-consumer based economy has this and many other benefits, and also has serious drawbacks that will prevent it from co-opting the traditional economic system. The IT-based sharing economy is a relatively new force in the market, and as such has yet to be regulated to the degree that traditional businesses are. Many times, regulations placed on sharing economy companies cause the businesses to suffer. One recent example of this was in the city of Austin, Texas, when they passed an ordinance requiring that Uber drivers need to pass fingerprint-based background checks in order to be drivers. They did this in response to complaints and lobbying from the taxi industry, who argued that because they were licensed taxi drivers, they were forced to undergo extra scrutiny in order to do their jobs versus what Uber drivers had to go through. Taxi drivers won in this case, and so instead of staying and complying with the laws, Uber and Lyft responded by pulling out of Austin altogether, even though the market for them is rather large. Uber is one of the largest players in the sharing economy stage, and despite lobbying efforts of their own, they still lost this case and will likely lose other challenges in other cities as well in the future. Will they continue pulling out of cities that pass laws like this until there are none left to operate in? Or will they have to make changes like this that fundamentally impact the way they do business, causing their business models to suffer and taxis to return to the industry? We don't know, but either way, this is a signal that sharing economy is not ready to fully replace the traditional economy, even with regards to the industry sector in which the sharing economy has made the most inroads, being transportation. Another example is with hotel regulations and Airbnb in the city of San Francisco. So similar to Uber in Austin, San Francisco passed regulations regarding the standards that Airbnb hosts must maintain their properties in, arguing that such hosts since they were using their residences as hotels, they must comply with similar regulations that hotels also have to adhere to. Airbnb is currently suing San Francisco over this, but they will also face a number of significant challenges in other cities over the way they do business with regards to their hosts, and the core matter is that hotels are a highly regulated industry, regulations have everything to do with safety, building quality, and etc. They also do have a lot of zoning regulations, and this is really the core idea, is that houses and apartments are not meant to serve as hotels. Another reason why we believe that the IT-based sharing economy cannot replace the traditional economy is the question of how far sharing can go. This idea is based on the fact that some assets can be shared, but others cannot. For example, you can replace the taxi industry with Uber, but can you replace the auto industry with Craigslist? There are industries in which the sharing economy has already made significant headways. Trade is the best example, as well as transportation, accommodation, and food services. The total impact of GDP, however, from these activities still ranges from about 0.25% to 0.9% in most Western developed countries, and we'll take a look more at this on the next slide. And does that even matter? Sharing economy is predicated on selling goods and services to others in the secondary market. The only real threat to businesses are those who operate in that secondary market, such as transportation or low-end retail. So on this slide, we see a breakdown of the sharing economy's potential on the economy as a whole. This graph shows the sectors that have relevant sharing activities as a percentage of overall GDP. As you can see, about half of the total economy is affected by players in the sharing economy. However, the total impact of the sharing economy, even in these sectors, is still minimal. Again, depending on the source, it seems that the sharing economy accounts for between 0.25% and 1% of total GDP in most developed countries. That's a significant amount and can be as much as 170 billion in a country like the United States. But that's still very far away from the $7.5 trillion that these sectors of the economy represent. So to continue our presentation, I'm going to pass it on to Jagpreet, who will talk about some other issues that will keep the sharing economy from being able to replace the traditional economy.
Thank you, Joseph. My name is Jagpreet, and I'll add some more points to the further emotion debate. My first point is on telecom service providers such as T-Mobile, Airtel, AT&T, NTT, and Comcast, which follows business-to-consumer business model. They provide services such as broadband internet, voice and data services on mobile, and television broadcast services using IP or cable. All these services are managed by an organization and regulated by government. Up such services requires you to put in a lot of investment which goes towards telecom license fee and infrastructure. This investment is generally in billion dollars. Such a setup and infrastructure is not possible by an individual to work out, and therefore customer to customer model is not possible in telecom industry. Another B2B business model evident in e-commerce is with portal service provided by Yahoo, MSN and Google. Portals are gateway to internet that offers powerful web searching tools with ease. These portals provide content on various different topics such as news, analytics, currency rates, stock quotes, map information, and AdWords. An individual cannot provide these services on his own to potential customers, and hence, such a business will always remain a B2C and cannot be replicated to C2C model. Another challenge in C2C based shared economy is trust. Compared to B2C commerce, gaining trust is more complicated when buyer and sellers are both individual. And with internet comes the disadvantages of anonymity. The potential for fraud is much greater online than in physical world. Companies like eBay auction, Craigslist, Quicker and Airbnb connects customers and they try to sell product or service. This transaction is often faced with trust issues. You might get a product which is said to be working fine, but it is actually broken and you don't have the right person to report the issue. Or you might even allow a criminal to rent a place who rented your apartment through an Airbnb. There aren't any proper checks or security. Such a case is not there when you are dealing with companies like Dell and Airtel and even hotels. You know they have the authentic stuff with after sales guarantee leading to better customer satisfaction. In case of any issues, you have someone to report the issue and you can expect some resolution very soon. Because of the trust issues in C2C business model, I strongly believe C2C cannot replace B2C business model completely. Another key difference between B2C business model and the shared economy having C2C business model is that the latter can't promise their employee steady income. After all, paychecks depend on how well a given app matches potential clients and those providing resources or services. Workers also don't know when or where they will work while accepting some short term projects or assignment. They might have to work early morning or even late evening. More importantly, there is no fixed salary that one can expect every month. They might earn very well that month, and next month this might not be the case. This will affect the commitments of making monthly house rents, electricity, phone bills, and car insurance. For these reasons, people do have preference to have fixed flow of income that can assure peace of mind every month. Such a benefit is only there when you are working as an employee in B2C based companies, and hence C2C cannot replace B2C completely. Thank you.
My name is Kushag and I'm going to extend the discussion on the topic the IT-enabled sharing economy. Based on consumer-to-consumer exchanges of goods and services cannot replace the traditional business-to-consumer economy. Here I'm going to discuss about the latest researches being done on the topic. The first one being owning, using and renting, some simple economics of the sharing economy. It says the new internet-based marketing enables consumer owners to rent out their durable goods when not using them. Such markets are modeled to determine ownership, rental rates, quantities and surplus generated. A survey of consumers broadly supports the modeling assumption employed. The second one, does the sharing economy do any good? Despite the benefits offered by sharing economy, researchers have identified several challenges preventing disadvantaged groups. Example, low socio-economic status, underemployed and or users from emerging regions from receiving the same level of benefit as those from the advantaged population. This panel bring research from the sharing economy and mobile crowdsourcing space whose research has identified unique challenges for undeserved populations. We consider the opportunities offered by this platform to disadvantaged communities and examine to what extent these platforms instead may create disadvantage as well as the workarounds communities employ to make these platforms work for them. We examine the opportunities for the computer supported cooperative work community to address these challenges going forward. The third one being who benefits from the sharing economy of Airbnb. It says the sharing economy platform has become extremely popular in the last few years. And they have challenged the way in which we commute, travel, and borrow among many other activities. Despite the popularity among consumers, such companies are poorly regulated. For example, Airbnb, one of the most successful examples of sharing economic platform, is often criticized by regulators and policymakers, while in theory, municipalities should regulate the emergence of Airbnb through evidence-based policy making. In practice, they engage in a false dichotomy. Some municipalities allow the business without imposing any regulations, while others ban it altogether. That is because there is no evidence upon which to draft policies. Here we propose to gather evidence from the web. After calling Airbnb data for the entire city of London, we found out where and when Airbnb listings are offered, and by matching such listing information with sensors and hotel data. We determine the socio-economic condition of the area that actually benefit from the hospitality platform. The reality is more nuanced than one would expect, and it has changed over the years. The last one being, does sharing mean caring? Regulating innovations in the sharing economy. Sharing economy practices have become increasingly popular in the past years, from serving system network transportation to private kitchen sharing with strangers appears to be the new urban trend. Although Uber, Airbnb and other online platforms have democratized the access to a number of services and facilities, multiple concerns have been raised as the public safety, health and limited liability of the sharing economy practices. In addition, these innovative activities have been contested by professionals offering similar services that claim the sharing economy is opening the door to unfair competitions. The dilemma is far more complex than it seems since regulators are confronted here with an array of challenging questions. Firstly, can these sharing economy practices qualified as innovations worth protecting and encouraging? Secondly, should the regulation of these practices serve the same goal as the existing rules for the equivalent commercial services? Thirdly, how can regulation keep up with the evolving nature of these innovative practices? All these questions come down to one simple problem. Too little is known about the most socially effective way of consistently regulating and promoting innovations. Moving on, we're going to discuss about drawbacks of the reality of sharing economy. None of the car rental services are sharing either, they are rental. You pay and you drive. If it doesn't work, you call the company and complain. This is not sharing. Airbnb is a great business by some metric, but what offer is not sharing. Strictly speaking, it's buy to let for short-term rents. Uber is the same. It may be making a market more efficient, but no one does a cab because they are an altruist. None of the car rental services are sharing either. They are rented. You pay and you drive. It doesn't work. You call the company and complain. This is not sharing. Nor is the sharing economy either. It might even be opposite. A locust behavior that products like Groupon encourages bring promiscuous customers and encourages them to be even more promiscuous. Central tenets of small to medium enterprises, loyalty and repeat customers cannot survive in the locust economy. And the number of people able and willing to fill the void left by bed and breakfast that will be driven out of the business by Groupon is minuscule. Bad politics. The sharing economy is bad politics. No too surprising that they're big need. After all, the sharing economy only works for rich people. If you believe the hype, you might think that Airbnb and property law services are radically transforming the concept of personal property. That's mostly spin, at least for now. In truth, travel and high-value goods are a luxury for the middle classes. In order to have a surfboard or to borrow one, you have to be a surfer. The last time we discussed, people trying out Airbnbs can well afford hotels. It's novelty, not a necessity. Those who run the sharing economy are not sharing their wealth. There's always someone, generally the organizer, scraping off more than they ought to. Eventually, participants in such system realize this and stop playing the game because they think they are being screwed. Consider these are not models economic or moral. The sharing economy is also emasculating, dispiriting, and demotivating because property rights are the basis of our society, and the sharing economy fails to respect how much of our identity we invest into the things we buy. When we make big purchases, we are engaging in a process of consumer choice that advertises to the world who we think we are and our aspiration and how we'd like to be considered by others. The sharing economy sounds alarming like a cult. The sharing economy sounds alarming like a cult as with so many buzzwords and movements in technology, big data, transparency, open data. When you drill down into the detail, we'll find out that intellectual economic substance and much that delivered directly from the marketing departments of structurally unsound companies like DuPont. When something becomes a dogma in the tech industry, it's a red flag for free thinkers. The best thing life, that is the experience we prepare for, fake and be shared with strangers.